Hey everybody, I'm Kate with CrateInsider.com, and today I'm here with Dave Hammond from Hammond Motorsports. And Dave, tell me about what you're going to show us today.
Well, I want to talk about our setup plates. With you and with the Crate Insider, you're always trying to sell products that enhance your crate engines to make them run better. We have these setup plates I got here, and with these plates we can actually square the race car up better and make the car more efficient, so you're not scuffing a lot of speed off by having your wheels improperly aligned. And with these we can really work on a car and make sure that we have the correct toe in the left front wheel, the right front wheel. We know the rear end housing, the tubes are not bent, and then we can do a proper placement of the rear end. And like, for example, I get a lot of cars in my shop, no matter what the customer does, we got a loose race car or a tight race car, and it's something as simple as right rear wheel placement. With these tools here, we can go off the wheelbase here, we can do our toes off the hooks there, and we can just look at that, measure everything up properly, and make the car work much better. And it will take less power to run the car after you got everything squared up. So now you should see a performance enhancement with your crate engine.
Well, and I think that's great. I know I've worked with the setup plates a little bit, and just with the measuring. I mean, not me personally, but I've seen it done. And really something that we're going for a lot of times, the question we ask is, how many people does it take to roll your race car? Just to move it?
Correct. And me being from Iowa, and I don't deer hunt, but a lot of my friends do. So I was like looking at their deer scale, and what I actually do is I'll take a deer scale, hook it to the race car, and have my arm straight and pull the scale and see how much does it take to actually get the car to move initially. Then I'll try to move it about 10 foot and see what it takes to maintain it. After I'm done, we can recheck it, and the majority of the time we get the car a lot easier. And when we have everything proper, it should only take one person to push your race car. Now if you got both axles in it and you're trying to turn a corner, yes, it'll still take multiple people. But like here, when you come to the trade show, you take an axle out, you should be able to push your car in by yourself.
I think that's great. And tell me a little bit more about how you can discover if you have something bent. I mean, you'd mentioned about finding like bent things.
Let's go down here to the right rear.
All right, so show me on here how we're going to find out if something is bent on this race car.
Okay, so like if you have a rear end tubes that might be bent, what you can do is take a tape measure, slide it through, hook the other plate, you come out here in the groove and you measure it, and then you simply take the tape measure, go back and measure the back, and if you see that they're different, now you know the rear end is bent. So the next thing you want to do is pull the rear end out, and you can actually take these plates, leave on the rear end. If you put a little riser in there and raise it up just a little bit, you can spin the housing 360 degrees, and you can actually watch the plate here walk back and forth, and then you can measure it, mark your tube, and you find, hey, I got a right rear tube might be bent an 1/8 inch. You find the spot where it's bent, you can simply take a torch and a garden hose, heat it up, get it cherry hot, about the size of a quarter, clinch it with cold water, shrinks right back in. Now you got your rear end nice and straight, good to go.
Oh, wow. I mean, obviously I think there's some guys that have had some really bad nights at a racetrack, and they've got a simple solution to actually make it, well, I mean, to change your night.
Right. I mean, because if you got a bent rear end, especially in a dirt car where we have pinion rotation, when that rear end rotates up or down for pinion rotation, it's going to change the toe of the wheel. Now it could toe one direction, make the car better, or it could toe the other direction and make the car worse.
Now, so what are some other things too with your chassis setup plates? I know that they do several different functions. So what are some other things that you are doing with your chassis setup plates?
Well, for example, a lot of guys will start asking questions about what's going on with my 4-link suspension in chassis hike or in compression. What's my motion ratio changes? So what you can do is simply take a floor jack, put it underneath your chassis, remove the shock and spring, run the chassis through the motion with the setup plate on. Now you can actually measure and see exactly what is going on, and you can learn what kind of index changing you have and figure out what's going on at what particular time in the car.
Wow, that's a lot right there.
Well, and the other thing too is you can use these tools for figuring your bump steer, because bolt them on the car, take the front shock and spring out, take a floor jack, run the car through the motions, and you can get a true measurement of what's going on with your bump. I've not figured out why we have bump steer gauges that we put a jack underneath the ball joint and raise the tire up and down, when in fact it's the chassis that moves up and down.
This has been some great information, Dave. And so tell me, you make setup plates for a number of different applications. So tell me what those are.
Okay, we have the applications like for the 5x5 wheels, and the same plate will work for the 4 3/4 and the 4 1/2, all on one plate. Then we have the wide 5, your bandoleros, mod lights, legend cars, and we just finally introduced the ones that we use with the Southern Sport Mods, the IMCA hobby stocks, and drag cars. Those are cars with stock style axles, and they come in both 5x5 and 4 3/4 bolt pattern. So you have to order those last two Pacific. I can't make them fit both, but it's this new product that we got out, and we actually got it here on the show this week at PRI to introduce it.
That is really exciting, Dave. And of course, I sell the ones for the dirt lay models and the modifieds, and you can find those on CrateInsider.com. And for any of the rest of them, you can find them at HammondMotorsports.com. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.
Dave Hammond's chassis setup plates are available in our online store at CrateInsider.com. If you like what we're doing here, hit that subscribe button.